Okay, so it looks like we're live now. They have a new way of setting up a live broadcast on a laptop. So hi, everybody. Welcome to my first live broadcast in a while. Got a number of things I want to talk to you about today. It's been quite a struggle getting through to the American people, hasn't it? I mean, it's very frustrating, very frustrating. The way American pediatricians have normalized male genital mutilation. And if you've been an activist, many of you have been activists for years, some of you for decades, others for several months, and some of you are just coming on board. You've literally been an activist for a few weeks or even a few days. I mean, this is a dynamic movement. There are new people joining this movement every day, every day. And I think one of the things we all have to deal with is the frustration of knowing that strapping a baby down and cutting off part of his sex organ is literally criminal. We are witnesses. We are eyewitnesses to crimes against our nation's sons. It's that severe. It's that serious. And yet we all, to relative degrees, feel completely helpless to stop this monster, this monstrous thing that is happening to America's sons, that happened to possibly your sons or your grandsons, your brothers, your fathers. It happened to me and all my brothers. It happened to most of my male friends. It happened to most of the men who protest with us on Bloodstained Men road tours. It's a monstrous crime against American men when we literally cannot fight back. And that's the only way that American pediatricians have gotten away with it, by picking on newborn babies, knowing that they can manipulate parents with junk science and all their pompous sounding baloney and bombast. It's all garbage talk. Everything they say about circumcision is garbage talk. That's it. In a sane world, they wouldn't even get a second look. No one would even glance twice at the baloney. They even publish this crap. They dare to publish it. That's how great their stakes are. Now, why do they care so much? The central problem is that once a man is circumcised, all kinds of psychological dynamics come into play. The issue of pride, his conception of himself as a sexual being, as a manly man. It's just absolutely appalling that American men have fallen into this black hole of genital mutilation and put up with it and let it happen to their own sons and their grandsons. Clearly, there are many people involved in perpetuating this, but chiefly it is the victims. It is the victims. The victims of circumcision are responsible for perpetuating it. How do we explain, on the other hand, though, doctors who are women who are circumcising baby boys? Many of them are mothers who circumcise their son, or they grew up in a house with a circumcised father, circumcised brothers. It's a great social disease. That's what infant circumcision is, the genital mutilation of a nation's men disguised as medicine. Let me see if there are any comments that they have a different. Oh, okay, Amber Payne. Hi, Brother K from Central Texas. Oh, Nina, hello from Florida. Hi, Nina. Met you on the front lines. Amber, I'm not sure if I've met you. Uh, Alex Douglas from the UK. So Alex, you know what a nightmare it is for a man to be circumcised. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, please, there is a donation button on this broadcast, and it says "Be the first to donate." I don't like asking for money. I really don't. And Caroline and I both donate as much of our own money as we can to these billboard fundraisers. But okay, yes, Amber. What part of Texas do you live in? We we had been planning to go to West Texas last winter, actually last fall, and clearly that all fell through. But uh, where we want to put our billboards, though, is not in West Texas. The first town we're going to look at, well, we're going to look at three cities. When we do raise enough money, we want to raise $7,200 to put up a billboard on a freeway, on an interstate freeway. And the three cities that we're going to be looking at, and we're going to go by what appears to be the best deal. But these are expensive billboards, ladies and gentlemen. We have a billboard up in Atlanta right now by the airport, and it cost us $5,950 for 1 month. It's a dramatic billboard, and it's I think about 1 million people a week see it, but it cost us just $50 shy of 6,000 for a month, and so that will be up for another week in Atlanta. We got a better deal in Augusta, Georgia, where we've had a billboard up for over a month now, and that will go for another couple of weeks. I think that one was about $4,200 or $4,400. And this is all money that Intactivists have donated for these billboards. And that's why I'm asking you, ladies and gentlemen, even if you can only donate $5, there's Facebook does not charge any fee for processing it. So if you donate $5 and the link, let me double check, make sure the link is in there. Yeah, the link is in this live broadcast. It's in the text box of this live broadcast. Or you can whatever gets donated to this live broadcast, I will then subtract from the goal on the Texas billboard. But I hate to ask you for money, but none of us can afford these kind of prices. And Bloodstained Men, we are a grassroots organization. We don't have big corporate funding. The good news is that every dollar you donate goes directly for the billboard. We don't. None of us get paid. We recently, our webmaster and co-director, David Atkinson, along with an IT colleague, Tobias Johnson, they redesigned Bloodstained Men's website. And so if you haven't seen Bloodstained Men's website in the last week, go on and you'll be in for a real treat. They have really, it's an amazing website that they have created for Bloodstained Men, updated the first time we've updated since we started our website back in 2014. But that was all free for us. Some nonprofits, and we are a nonprofit, some nonprofits spend tens of thousands of dollars for website services, but not Bloodstained Men. We have IT professionals who volunteer to help us do this. And so our new website was free of charge, no cost to Bloodstained Men or to you. So if you can afford $5 or $10 or more, clearly, if you can afford more, please donate what you can, because I vow and guarantee, my word of honor, every dollar you donate goes to that billboard, period. Doesn't go to anything else. And I'd like to get that Texas billboard up as soon as possible. It's going to cost us at least $7,000 to get on a major freeway in or near one of these three cities. These are the three cities we're shooting for, and I won't know for sure until we until we raise the money, and I go to the billboard company and see what's available at the time. But it's going to be either Dallas, Fort Worth, or Houston, or Austin. So those are the three target cities. One of those cities, and it will be an interstate highway. Um, hopefully we'll be able to afford more than a month. But if the going rate is such that we can only put it up for a month, we know that over 1 million people a week will see it. And these billboards are saving babies. I just shared a video last night that a passerby, that a motorist got of our billboard in Augusta, Georgia. It's dramatic. There's never been a billboard like Bloodstained Men. It has the most of you have probably seen it. If you click on the donate button, but on the donate link on this website, on this live broadcast, you'll see the header. The banner for that page is our billboard, I believe the one in Augusta. But it's a dramatic sight because there's never been. Usually, people are trying to sell something or just a different kind of billboards that we're all used to. But Bloodstained Men's billboard is a shock. It is a shock. So shocking that, believe it or not, several billboard companies turned us down. One company said they would post our text that circumcision is cruel and harmful with our URL, bloodstainedmen.com. But they said, could we take out the picture, our iconic outline of a bloodstained man with, the outline of a man in white with the bloodstain. And that's happened to us with several billboard companies. So we're very fortunate to have found a billboard company that is fair and understands that our billboard is not obscene and it's not X-rated. It should be seen by everyone. When children see a billboard like that, that conversation needs to happen between parents and children. If a 4 or 5 year old says to mom, what does that billboard mean? If these children are old enough to be strapped down and have their penises cut, well, there is no age limit at which they aren't old enough to learn what was done to them or what is being done to their peers, to their age mates, to other children. I know that I would have taught my daughter all of these things beginning at age 2 or 3. We've had and we have babies come out and join us on the front lines. The intact generation is growing up protesting with Bloodstained Men and seeing your posts on social media. Never underestimate the influence of your own posts. It is vital to post and share. We are creating a firestorm of indignation and opposition to infant circumcision in the United States and, of course, to child circumcision around the world. Girls, boys, and intersex, no child should be held down or strapped down or tied down, all the various ways that they restrain a child and then cut off part of their genitals. It is absolutely criminal, ladies and gentlemen, and you're here because you know it. If you're just seeing intactivism for the first time, maybe you're just learning these things for the first time. Go to bloodstainedmen.com and you can get more information. Let me catch up with the comments here. Amber says, I'm not sure the going rate for Waco billboards, but Waco is centrally located. Yeah, Amber, what's going to happen is we will look at Dallas and Houston and Austin, and we'll take it from there. We have not ruled out any cities, and certainly Waco would be a good one. So there's a time delay on this. I've been on the air now a little over 15 minutes. Let me see if you have any questions. The comments are being truncated again. Amy Daniel says, my 2 sons are intact. I've actually lost friends over the discussion. Yeah. And that's another issue is how do you balance your family and personal life, your relationships with your relatives, maybe your relationship with your employer. How do you balance that with being an intactivist? And there's no one answer. There's no one answer, except I do know this. Always put your family first. Your family should come first uh, when you're an intactivist. It has to. Your family is the foundation. I mean your children. I don't mean your birth family. That's another issue. Brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers. There is an outstanding interview. If you go to the Brendan Marotta podcast, the Brendan Marotta show on the internet, there's an outstanding interview that he did a week or two ago with a regret mom and her son. And he posted that. It's on Facebook and it's on all his podcasts uh, platforms on the internet. Brendan Marotta is the filmmaker who created American Circumcision. So look for that. Look for his podcast, and you will see that outstanding interview with a regret mom and her son. Uh, Regret parents are another uh, dilemma in intactivism because many women are reluctant to come out as regret moms because it does take thick skin because you make yourself vulnerable. There are some intactivists who are so angry that they do not believe that any regret mom could possibly be forgiven or be sincere, or they attribute bad motives to regret moms. It's just very, very unfortunate. I can say this. I have known many, many regret moms, and every single one of them, every single one of them is heartbroken by what she was duped or misled into. We are all born into this circumcising culture, this genital mutilating culture. If I had been a father early in my life, say as a late teen in my early 20s, I could have fallen into the circumcision black hole. I could have been a regret dad. I would like to think that it wouldn't have happened to me, but I can see exactly how it happens. If it's something that you haven't ever thought about before, and these doctors springing on you in the hospital, it's just very, very unfortunate. So if you have any comments, they seem to be truncated here. Again, this happened last time. I'll look at them afterwards and see. Uh, but I will try to answer your questions if you have any questions for me. This is an exciting time to be an intactivist. It really is. Uh, Regret Moms founded intactivism. Marilyn Milos, uh, a registered nurse, founded NOCIRC in the mid 80s. Rosemary Romberg was the first public regret mom in the 1980s. And with other concerned citizens and people like themselves and like me and like you, founded the movement. And here we are, some 40 years later. Intactivism is spreading. Millions of parents are now leaving their sons intact, not just in the United States, but intactivism essentially took over Australia, and now uh, circumcised boys in Australia are a minority. Only about 10% of boys are being circumcised in Australia, and that's still too many. But that's where the United States is heading. We are heading toward the Australian model, where Australia went from an 80% or higher circumcision rate back in the 1950s and 60s. Uh, Today, it's down to a 10% rate and going down every year. I want to show you. I want to show you this. This is a Gomco clamp. Some of you may have seen my demonstrations of the Gomco clamp in another video, But this is a fiendish device. I put up a little red object to represent the the newborn baby's penis. And it's too difficult to manipulate this on the air without a desk underneath me or a table. So I've got it all set up. But let me just show you. You see this screw right here. If you look at this figure, you see the rocker. This is called the rocker arm of the Gomco clamp. The bottom flat part is called the plate. Let me hold it like this. This is the plate, and this is the rocker arm. Now, some of you may have seen old-time tire irons, but this rocker arm essentially was the guy who came up with this fiendish device actually conceived of it from the tire iron of a Model T Ford. Let me turn it upside down. Maybe you'll get an idea. Imagine that the flat plate is not here, and just look at this. Just look at this. Can you imagine wedging this thing in between the hubcap and the tire, and wedging it off, and with the leverage that this exercises, and so that's what happens. But it's upside down. So when you turn upright, what happens is this screw actually puts that upward pressure on this and brings up this bell device that is underneath the Gomco clamp, and tightens it like that. Crushes the foreskin right at this line. The rest of the baby's penis is below the plate. So the baby is lying here. The doctor has brought the baby's penis up through the plate, in a hole in the plate, and the head of the penis is protected by a bell underneath. When they tighten this, it crushes the foreskin right here. And then let me show you what they do. I don't have a scalpel, but essentially, they're knifing the baby's penis. They can call it a scalpel and try to make it sound medical, but they're knifing the baby's penis. But so once they've pulled the foreskin up through there, the head of the baby's penis is below the plate, protected by the plate, and they cut off the foreskin. And this is an approximate amount of how much foreskin they cut off. I mean, it's a lot. And actually, it's much more than that compared to the size of the baby's penis. I've used a balloon here to represent so it actually is longer. About half the skin of the penis is pulled up through the Gomco clamp. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. And so they cut it off, and they go around like that. And one thing that has not been addressed, as far as I know, is what does the baby see? What does the baby himself? Now, we know they're sobbing in many cases, but apart from the fact that they're sobbing, that baby is hearing. Like, I've often wondered about all the metallic clankling sounds that the baby hears during circumcision. How must that leave just strange psychological impressions in the baby's mind, and the adults hovering over him, all these adults focused on his penis and attacking it. Where's his mother? Some mothers actually, not many, but some mothers actually do go to their child's circumcision, and they sit there with him. It's rare. And we see those posts on Facebook, and they say, never again. I'm never going to do that again. Either never going to sit in again, or never going to circumcise my next son, because they see exactly how gruesome it is. Gruesome. Jake Indigo. Hi, Jake. The billboards are saving babies. We don't know how many, but we know from the nature of our opposition and their rage at intactivism that we are having a significant impact on the circumcision rate in the United States, a significant impact. So please do donate. You can donate right now through the donate button on this live broadcast, or you can use that link and donate on the Texas fundraiser itself. Any donations on this live broadcast, I will subtract from the goal on the Texas Billboard fundraiser. So your donation will count for sure toward the Texas fundraiser, Texas Billboard fundraiser. The other thing is, if you can't afford to donate right now, is share it. Go to that link and share the Billboard fundraiser. The more people that share it, the more news feeds it gets onto. That's the chief problem with any fundraiser, is getting it onto news feeds. So when you share it, it goes onto more news feeds, and people find out about it. People find out about it and donate. The comments are being truncated, so I don't know. Yeah, the comments don't seem to be moving along here. But if you have any questions, put it in the comment, and I'll try to answer it if I can see it. So getting back to the central dilemma for an intactivist is, how do you measure your personal privacy and the needs of your family and your career? How do you measure that with being an intactivist? And there is no one answer. I've seen some people, they deactivate their Facebook for a period of time, mainly because they can't take the stress of being an intactivist. It's stressful. If you've been an intactivist for a while, honestly, you deserve a medal of honor. You really do. Intactivism is probably going to be the most difficult endeavor you've ever undertaken in life, outside of personal and career goals. But in terms of a social endeavor, there's nothing more difficult than intactivism. The doctors have no incentive to acknowledge the presence of opposition to their penis cutting. They don't. Even the doctors that agree with us won't go on record. They're so terrified of their colleagues. And this is in the year 2021, when we've had 40 strong years of, well, not all 40 years of strong intactivism, but 40 years of constant, persistent, unwavering intactivism. Many people have come before us, ladies and gentlemen. And actually, there's been opposition to circumcision throughout human history. But in the United States, it was a recent innovation by American doctors. There was no circumcision at the founding of our nation. There wasn't. Our founding fathers were intact, and they would be freaked out. They would be horrified to learn what American pediatricians are doing to our sons. Horrified. I'm convinced, and when I went on Daniel Tosh's show, I told him that I am convinced that if America's founders, the founding fathers, if they had known what American doctors would do to our sons, they would have put it into the Bill of Rights that everyone had freedom of body at birth. You could not cut off part of a healthy child's genital structures. They would have. I'm absolutely convinced of that. And I told that to Daniel Tosh. If you haven't seen my appearance on Tosh.0, go to YouTube and type in Brother K and Tosh.0, and the YouTube search bar will bring that right up. So being an intactivist will be the most challenging social endeavor of your life, and how to balance that with your personal and career life. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer, except that you do have to keep your family first. You really do. Uh, I hate to say it. I mean, I would like to think that, all of us could, be intactivists first and foremost. But we have lives, and we have to lead our lives, and we live in a society, in a genital cutting society. And so there are many factors that you have to weigh and balance in how much you come out as an intactivist, what your venue is. So my hat is off to all intactivists, because everything that you do in however you do it and whenever you do it, wherever you do it, you know the courage it's taking you. I know myself. You have to dig down deep into your heart and into your conscience to come up with the courage to do this work. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't even come naturally. It comes out of outrage and indignation, the inability to live in a society that is cutting the genitals of its children without resisting it, without objecting to it. And that's what we are. That's what intactivists are. We are the resistance to this horror, this bloody genital mutilation horror that American pediatricians and OBGYNs have inflicted on our people, on our nation. I blame the American medical community 1,000% for what they have done to our sons. They have medicalized the ancient penis sacrifice of newborn boys. They have converted it by a bunch of junk science, fake science, fake excuses, and they have converted it into what they claim is a medical benefit. The big lie is almost always the opposite of the truth. Circumcision is such a devastating injury to a man, to the future man. It is such a devastating injury that they have to claim it's for your own good. There's so many aspects of this, as you know, ladies and gentlemen. The injurious effect on a man's sexuality, on the grown man's sexuality, on it, and on his sexual relationships. But you see these posts on social media. Little Junior just got circumcised and he's doing fine, sound asleep. Meanwhile, little Junior is in a trauma-induced coma. The denial, conscious and deliberate in many cases, is appalling. To think that you can cut off part of a human being's sex organ and he's doing fine. No baby is doing fine after you cut off part of his sex organ. No baby. But there's this whole myth of the strong baby, the soldier baby, the baby who took it like a champ. American hospitals tell their staff, and this comes down through their doctors, they tell their staff, their nurses, tell the parents that he handled the circumcision fine. We know that these babies pass out, they gag, they vomit, their hearts stop. Parents never hear these things. Their baby is brought back to them blue and sweating or asleep, unconscious, and they all hear the same story. He did great. And to top off the humiliation of it, some of these doctors or nurses even flatter the parent with the size of the baby's penis. They said he had the big, I mean, they say it in one way or the other. He had the biggest penis we've ever seen. We had to go to the extra large circumcision clamps for him. That's the first time in 10 years I've had to do that. I mean, it's just absolutely obscene. It's a corrupt institution run by corrupt pediatricians and OBGYNs who have strong personal motives and incentives to do this to our babies. Chief among them is the money. These guys are making, for a couple hours a week, added up over a year, they're making the equivalent of a high income. They're making like $75,000 a year just for 5 hours a week circumcising babies. How would you like to work 5 hours a week for $75,000? Would you take it? Of course you would. So why do you think American doctors aren't going to give it up? It's easy money for them. I wish it was just money, but it's not. It's also the fact that they've been doing it for so long that to admit it now would involve a whole cascade of legal and ethical consequences. Peter Adler and the other attorneys who recently published the paper that circumcision is medical fraud, and you can go, did I put that on the, let me see if I posted that. No, I didn't post that on the on this broadcast, but go to the, in Google, type in circumcision is a fraud. Circumcision is a fraud. These guys have been doing it for so long that if they admit the truth, they are liable for billions and billions of dollars of punitive damages. And in fact, these attorneys, this was published in the Cornell Journal of Law, very prestigious law journal, published this article. Like I said, intactivism is a dynamic movement. There are new developments happening every day now, and we are making progress. So go to type into Google circumcision is a fraud, and you will see all the evidence that the attorneys have brought up recently. And speaking of attorneys, I know that Peter Adler is also involved in Dr. Ron Goldman's lawsuit in Massachusetts, where they've brought it into the courts in Massachusetts to force the state of Massachusetts, the government, to force them to stop funding infant circumcision through the federal Medicaid program. Medicaid is only supposed to pay for medically necessary surgeries, and they produce all the evidence, and even most diehard circumcising doctors won't claim that circumcision is medically necessary. So that's going to be an interesting and historical lawsuit to force the government of Massachusetts to admit that they cannot fund a medically unnecessary surgery, the genital surgery on newborn babies. They cannot fund it through the state government or through the federal Medicaid program. So these things are all happening. And again, the great courage of the attorneys who have spent years and decades doing this, and often with very little support. And I mean, it can be and is a lonely pursuit, being an intactivist. Fortunately, we're all together here now on social media, and we can support each other and back each other up. If you haven't yet joined the group Friends of Bloodstained Men, there's a Facebook group called Friends of Bloodstained Men. Join that group, and you'll be able to help us out there. See the different things that we're doing there. Is reach out to parents who announce on social media that they plan to circumcise their son, and we contact those parents and offer them information about, look, you don't have to do this. You do not have to circumcise your son. And more parents are listening. Let me see if there are any new questions here. Oh, thank you, Thomas. Thomas says he donated. Thank you, Thomas. I don't know if you donated. I don't think the donation button on this live broadcast will show the amount raised until after it ends. So, but thank you if you donated on this broadcast, or if you went to the Facebook page and donated, or to the Facebook fundraiser and donated. Thank you, Thomas. Every dollar helps, ladies and gentlemen. Every dollar helps. If you were a pregnant woman and you were driving down a freeway in Texas, and you looked up and you saw the Bloodstained Men billboard, and you'd never thought about circumcision, you've got a son coming, and we know this is how it goes. The average parent hasn't even given a second thought to circumcision. So you're the average pregnant woman driving down the freeway, down the interstate in Texas, and you see this humongous billboard with the Bloodstained Men icon, and circumcision is cruel and harmful. That's gonna shock you a lot, and it can and does shock people into going home and looking it up on the internet. They'll look up bloodstainedmen.com. Any kind of search on the internet is going to turn up the extent of the resistance now, worldwide resistance to genital mutilation. One major complaint I have with the short-sightedness of the movement to stop female circumcision, which of course I support. Unfortunately, for political reasons and to expedite what they thought would expedite their own movement, their own struggle to protect girls from genital mutilation, the people involved in the resistance to female circumcision, female genital mutilation, they decided to ignore the genital mutilation of boys. So they exclusively refer to the genital mutilation of boys as circumcision, and they exclusively refer to the circumcision of girls as female genital mutilation. So they segregate genital cutting by the sex of the child. What's worse is that Equality Now, who was deeply involved in the movement to get the federal law banning female circumcision, Equality Now actually published a document that said the foreskin is not part of the penis. So Equality Now, by their own admission, trivialized the damage to the penis of male circumcision, of male genital mutilation, by saying that the foreskin is not part of the penis. And the other unfortunate aspect with regard to the anti-female circumcision movement is that they always add, and female circumcision has no health benefits. So they put that in because I don't understand why, but many of them who oppose female circumcision appear to support male circumcision. It's just bizarre. What they believe as cruel and traumatic and harmful to girls, they accept as the normal price of admission to manhood for boys. And so they put on that caveat on all their claims about female circumcision, but it has no health benefits, acknowledging in their minds their support for male circumcision because it may have health benefits. And we know, of course, that it's all a bunch of baloney. But why would people who had enough critical thinking abilities to oppose female circumcision not oppose male circumcision? I don't understand it. Or I should say, I don't officially understand it. Unofficially, They have a mix of selfish motives for either remaining silent or supporting male circumcision. And chiefly, many of them are parents who have circumcised their child. That's the great curse of genital mutilation. And they're now seeing they're having trouble stopping the circumcision of girls in cultures that have circumcised girls along with boys for untold hundreds and hundreds, most likely thousands of years. And in those cultures, they don't see it as any different. You circumcise a girl, you circumcise a boy. What's the big deal? I was circumcised, and now they've got a mother speaking. I was circumcised, my daughter's going to be circumcised. I turned out fine. The most common hidden psychological damage of infant genital cutting is for the victims to claim, I turned out fine, so my child will be circumcised too. That is psychological damage at its worst. At its worst, when you cannot look objectively at what you are doing to the sex organ of another human being, and you say, well, I turned out fine, I'm going to circumcise my daughter, I'm going to circumcise my son. That is psychological damage, ladies and gentlemen, and the most obvious and the most common psychological damage of child genital cutting. The child grows up to be an adult who supports it for only one reason, because they were cut. They were cut as a child. And the psychological implications of looking into that are devastating. There is no joy or happiness to be found in understanding that you were cut and injured by it. It takes a thoughtful, introspective person to go there and do that, and courageous. So you see, I've touched on a number of things here. Let me see if I don't see any questions. I'd be willing to answer any questions that you have on this live broadcast. I'm going to wrap it up now, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful, beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Central California. I'm going to wrap it up with an expression of my deepest gratitude to all of you for everything you do, whatever you do, to bring this issue into the forefront. Every time you post or say something to someone, it matters, it counts, it helps. That's how intactivism works. The scope of this struggle is so vast, no one of us can do it, not even close. We are all left feeling frustrated by the extent of the problem and the size of this monstrous thing we're up against. Because American doctors have given it credibility as a medical intervention through fake science and irrational excuses like parental choice. Irrational excuses. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for everything that you are doing as an intactivist. Keep your sanity in this struggle. We lost Jonathan Conte to suicide. It'll be, believe it or not, almost 5 years in a few months. In 2016, Jonathan Conte, who actually brought the bloodstained men's suits to the United States, he committed suicide. And there have been several other suicides that were documented by the individual as being because of the psychological torment of genital mutilation as a child. And this is common knowledge, by the way, in the female circumcision movement, that female circumcision leaves uh, a lot of damage in women, in the grown women. Uh, those girls grow up and become hugely damaged women. And no one argues that. No one argues that. But the fact that men are hugely damaged by child genital cutting has not been widely acknowledged or recognized. And so we have a great task before us. Uh, Fortunately, like I said, we have decades of prior intactivism that has led us to this point, but it's going to take a lot of work. It's not going to happen next year. I wish I could be more optimistic about it, but it's not. This is not that kind of struggle, because circumcision plants its curse in our bodies. They plant it in our flesh, and so every individual, every child that is circumcised, boy or girl, or subjected to genital cutting, boy or girl or intersex, is injured. And to acknowledge that injury is painful. And many people would rather not acknowledge it. So keep your family first, keep your sanity first, deactivate if you have to, do what you have to do to keep your peace of mind amidst this insane struggle that we're involved in, because it is. We should not have to fight like this to protect our children from genital mutilation. But that's not the world we live in. We do. This is a fight. This is a fight. And the other side is basically they're using passive aggression. Right now, the American Academy of Pediatrics is just sitting on its hands, being quiet, trying to figure out what to do. But they have no intention of putting down their penis clamps. They have no intention of it. And the OBGYNs. Let me take one last look for any last comments here. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me here on Sunday afternoon, the 7th of March, 2021. I will get that billboard installed in Texas as soon as we reach the goal. I want to see that billboard up as much as you do. And I will see you on Facebook. I'm also on Twitter. I am on Instagram, but not very active there. Just can only do so much. But do what you can and speak out when you can. And thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. See you next time.